There was only one question I had, or one comment. She said communicable disease, 11 open cases, majority being Hep C. I just wondered what the other cases were. I asked that last time as well. And so I was wondering if in the future she might list what they were.
We can ask her to do that.
Okay. So, do I hear a motion to approve the public health update?
Do you need to?
Sure, we'll just do it.
Okay, I'll move to approve the public health update.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Great, thank you. Motion's been made to approve the report from the public health update. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you. Never go wrong having a vote to approve reports. Okay, general update, Lori.
Yes, so I just have a few. Our environmental employees attended the annual conference this week. They said that they had lots of very good trainings on foods and wastewater. There are changes that are going to be coming, code changes to foods. Indiana Department of Health is going to begin local trainings once a month with our food employees starting in January of 2024. For vital records, our part-time employee and other vital records employees off and on have been reviewing individual index cards with birth records from 1882 to 2005 and comparing those to electronic records in our lab system, making corrections as needed or contacting the state to verify those discrepancies if any were noted. And that project is now completed. That was completed as of September 28th. So I guess that has gone on for the past few years and started even prior to my being here. So that was a pretty big achievement. School updates, AEDs and Stop the Bleed purchases are in process for all of the schools who have submitted needs. We are looking into options for obtaining COVID tests for schools, and water bottle fillers have been purchased for Bloomington Montessori. And that's what I have for you today.
All right. Thanks. Anybody else have any other questions for Lori on her update? And yes, I would like a motion to approve the update.
So I have a question about approving. Accepting is different from approving. And since we don't have access to the information, direct information, I can see accepting reports, but I'm not sure about approving. I'm wondering if you can give me an idea of what you're thinking about in terms of approving reports as opposed to accepting reports.
Okay, we can accept the report.
Okay.
Okay,
So
I have a motion to accept the report.
I move to accept this report.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we've had the motion and it's been made. All those in favor, any discussion, questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, discussion on the syringe service program and
Okay,
are you doing that tonight?
I am doing that tonight. I don't know if I'm gonna do exactly what you want, but we can change that. But Lori asked me to give you a little history on the SSP since we had some new board members.
I totally don't need that.
So you don't want it? Can I send you the PowerPoint
No,
afterwards?
does anybody want it?
Okay, you don't want it?
I would rather not.
That's more fun.
I appreciate it, and I
I
know
was
you
gonna
do.
let you do the second slide. That's
I
fine.
know you do a good job. I mean, it's just, I really do.
Okay,
It's just, we have other stuff to talk about, and I think we're all familiar with it, and we all
okay.
support it.
Sure, that's fine. Then just let me tell you where we're at in the process.
That'd be
We are
awesome.
up for renewal this year. So I've been working with Dr. Britton to do some of the staff paperwork, working with the SSPs, we'll review our scope of work. And so we've got the initial draft of the contract out, goes to legal. and to the Indiana Recovery Alliance for them to review and have their lawyer look at it. So we should have a contract ready for you guys to approve before it goes to the commissioners by your next meeting. So as soon as that all gets in, we can get on the commissioners meeting and get that presented and totally all approved and renewed for the next 2 years.
You mentioned that they'd be audited and we would be getting the financials that we asked about.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if, as I understood it, the message from Lori is that we hadn't really had updates since 2022. I think that's what it is.
They have only and have been required to present a report to the board once a year. So they reported in 2022, so it'll be coming up on them to do another one. So they're still in time. And also in the past, they never, that money we give them is actually a support for the program and a carrot. I mean, the scope of work was created to make sure they follow the law. And that's why we meet with them quarterly to make sure the law is followed. So that's why we do that, but it's also a carrot and to help support the program. It's never been a payment for work done. So that's not what that is.
That's important information for us to know. Thank you, Kathy. That's really helpful.
Right.
And
They-
in the board packet, which you may not know, we have a copy, looks like from June of 22, signed off by you. It's like,
Mhm.
it's a
deliverable
checklist
sheet,
thing.
right.
Okay, with the deliverables.
Right, that,
And so will this be in effect for 2023 when they when they update?
we do that quarterly. Every quarter we
Okay.
meet with them and review what they're doing to make sure that everything's being followed.
You do this.
Melanie does it right now, then I review what her report is and sign off.
Okay,
So-
so there is accountability.
There is accountability, right? We meet
Okay.
with them regularly. I want to ensure that program's following the law and meeting everything within the state guidelines. That's really important.
I feel a lot more comfortable about that then. Thank you.
They've always been told that what they can spend the money on, at least it's never followed up on it. They always knew that they couldn't spend that money on syringes. It had to be for the program and all that, but it's never been documented. This year, we're actually adding it to the contract, so it is in writing what they can do with that. So
That's great to know. Thank you.
Nick is also going to do a financial report. He's sending that this year. Roy should have it by Friday. So we'll have that. And like I said, going forward, he wants to work with us and give us everything we need. So they're really, really good partners. So
Yeah, I think the program has been great. It's just that they haven't been providing us with, that other information, which in
Right.
the past, and then we had this additional information, which
of course, right.
is a different way of thinking about it. So,
And the
So
previous
thank-
director was a little bit more harder to work with and get information. Nick is doing everything possible to meet that. So
And I would be curious, kind of like Kay was curious about what other communicable diseases are being investigated besides hepatitis. I would just be curious to know how many people they served in a given year, like.
I've got that information. We do all the reporting to the state. We put all the information in the database. So we have all that information in the database. So we can
Awesome.
present that to you. anytime.
That's wonderful.
And
Do you guys want to ask Kathy to pull that out of the database maybe for our next meeting?
I've got the 2022 report with me tonight.
I'd love to see it.
If you want to see it next, you can put it in your packet. That's right.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. That's all really good news.
Any other questions for Kathy or comments? Thank you.
Now, it says here, vote. What are we voting on?
On the contract, are we voting to
The contract is-
support the contract? Yeah, there are asterisks.
It's in action.
It just says action item,
Yeah,
maybe
but
discussion.
action.
What
generally
action is needed?
Have to vote to approve for this program to move forward to the commissioners.
Right,
Oh,
Okay,
so,
So do
To
I.
renew the SSP.
You want to ask if
Okay.
there's a motion?
so I will move to push this contract on for approval by the commissioners.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further questions or discussion? from anyone? No? All those in favor, please say aye.
I,
Opposed? Okay. Thank you, Kathy, once again. All right, the COAG grant. the ever-present and never going away co-ed grant.
Yeah, so I shared with you about where we are with purchasing some of the supplies for the schools. Other than that, I did meet with Lisa this morning. She gave me some updates, and we talked about she's going to be giving me monthly reports. So we're going to be meeting both in person monthly, and then she's going to be giving me monthly written reports. I will be sharing that information with the board from this point forward, then when I start receiving those reports. We discussed her presenting updates and information to the Board of Health quarterly. So we anticipate if we are meeting in October of this year that she would give an update directly to the board in October, and then we would start a quarterly cycle in January, unless something changes and we decide to change the time frame of that. So we have met the deliverables for Q1, and that is being submitted for invoicing to the Indiana Department of Health. School vaccination clinics are occurring and going well. Some of the schools have already had individual health and wellness events. She has helped to provide CPR training and to coordinate services for CPR training for those that she did not directly provide training to. So things seem to be going very well.
And I don't know if I think all of you got the emails that Lori was communicating with the various schools that had inquiries of why we weren't doing it like we were last year. And we know that we had additional guidelines, which we didn't have in the previous year, and things were just done differently. It was hard to convince some people that we were doing this fairly, but we absolutely are, and by the book this time. So do you need anything from us as far as, I mean, the grant's been approved and the commissioners have approved the grant, correct? So this is just a status report.
Correct. This is a status report. We are still finalizing the contract. So IU Health has had a change in their president. So the contract from when we originally created one, those terms have changed a little bit. So I will be taking that back to the commissioners so that the new president with IU Health can sign off and approve that.
Okay. Any further questions for Lori on the COAG grant? Great, thank you. Sounds like things are really finally coming back to where they needed to be with that.
Just
Yeah.
a point, it's not really a question for Lori, but I noticed many more school systems, particularly on the West Coast, are providing Narcan, naloxone, inhaled form devices. I mean, here we're providing AED devices. Maybe the naloxone is maybe even more critical.
I hope we don't ever need it.
Overdose Lifeline.
I know
is
that's
working
really-
To do that.
That's really a dumb head in the sand thing, but I wish we didn't even need to.
Yeah,
talk
but if
about
the
that.
need comes up, I certainly hope it's there.
Yeah,
From a public health perspective, the Narcan's much more useful in this age group than as AED.
so what should we? Can we purchase? Are we allowed under the state? Because these are the state guidelines, right? We don't really say.
Do we know
Is
that,
that
Lori?
an allowable purchase?
I don't know that with certainty, but it's something I can look into.
Thanks.
Yeah, because certainly we do have the funds for those types of things, and I think that's a great point, George.
Yeah, thank you, George.
Does every school have EpiPens? I just always wondered, I mean, that seems, again, like a
That's a-
no-brainer.
Another number.
We have purchased those. for
Kind of
the
thought
schools in
that
the
did,
past.
but I don't.
Okay, and.
I don't know about this year, but we've been in the
And
past.
certainly in the high schools, I would think that naloxone would be an important drug to have.
So could you
And
check on
maybe junior high as well.
EpiPens too, Lori? Thank
Yes.
you.
Lisa did say today that there were a couple schools she has been working with on securing epi and some of those emergency medications, but I will find out from her whether there are any lingering schools in need of that.
Thank you.
They're really expensive and they only last for a year.
Yeah, I know.
What I have done, in my community is to prescribe an ampule of epinephrine and offer a tuberculin syringe.
Yeah.
And, and then it presumes that there's someone who knows how to break open the ampule
Yeah, right.
and draw up 0.3 ml and administer it. You save about $150 every time you do that.
Yeah, but that as soon as you have a medical professional on site in the school and they don't have nurses.
Yeah,
So,
one
is it-
nurse might take care of 7
Yeah.
students or,
Yeah.
So there's not a dedicated.
Oh,
nurse-
heck no.
nurse-
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
I know.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm wondering if schools do have a supply of. I mean, it does seem like that they would have something like that,
I would hope so, but
because an allergy reaction could be,
whether it's that peanut allergy or someone.
or
the
Stomach.
stomach.
anything.
Yeah, exactly. You get an anaphylactic kid, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Um,
So, yeah, so you're gonna assess that, you'll assess whether the schools have these, I guess probably a call to the MCCSE could answer that question. At least for Monroe County schools.
Yes, I'll look in to make sure that they
Okay.
all.
All right. All right. Good idea, both Sarah and George, about the additional things. Okay, any other comments about that, about those things? New board member appointees. We are currently at 5. And we still, I think the number is still 7 for us.
But we could add more if we wanted to share the work.
we don't add, that's not our job.
Yeah,
We cannot do that.
So we have to have 7,
we're supposed to have 7 to
They
be,
are,
but
be
we
in
can't have
compliance.
8, is what you're saying.
I'm not saying that.
That was what I was asking.
Yeah, I don't know if we can have more. I assume that we could, but
Okay.
7 is what we're supposed to have, and we only currently have 5. So I called Angie. This is the second phone call I've made regarding board members and what the status of the situation is. She doesn't know.
so
I mean, it's a rare time I call Angie Purdy and she doesn't know something, but she doesn't know what the status is. So that means I think that there hasn't been any action on board member appointments.
my understanding, and, perhaps legal can weigh in. My understanding is that county council was supposed to appoint someone, and city council, the common council, was also supposed to appoint someone to sit on the county health department.
Yeah, I don't really care who it is, whether it's the commissioners or council. I want us to be in compliance, and the city government needs to get, our city and county government need to get their act together and appoint somebody, basically. And I think you are right about, under the new law, they are supposed to be appointing.
And my
people.
recollection was under the new law, we are a smaller designation, so we don't have to have that by the city council. So and I don't have it in front of me, but I think we should look at the law, go back to SB4, find out, unless you
I
know,
know it.
what are our required members?
County council has to do 1, so that's one that still needs to be filled, and then the mayor gets to select 3 different people, and then the commissioners get to select 1 person from his recommendations.
So I wonder if they're waiting for the
So-
new mayor.
Possibly.
Well,
In
we
which
have a
case
mayor.
we've got, yeah, but
And-
I'm wondering if that's where the delays, because when I even mentioned it to someone from common council, they looked at me like I was out of my mind.
Additionally, the new members must be Republicans. Because we are
I would think so.
no, it's not think so.
We know
It's
it's-
no. So.
Yeah,
It's
no,
in the,
It's
I'm
in, it's
saying-
in the statute. We currently have 4 Democrats, designated 4 Democrats on the board, this current board. And that's as many as you can have for one party, if we have 7. So, and right now, obviously, we have 5.
And Kathy, do you remember? I'm recalling from SB4, like, so many have to be physicians, so many should be epidemiologists, so many should be, oh, bless your heart.
Yeah, they were all.
Is that for our, did you find our size of health department? Because they're all different.
I think we only have to have 1 physician as opposed to 2
Correct.
that we used to have.
Sorry. Switching between laptops.
Additional people can do whatever.
But all appointees are supposed to have some public health knowledge.
Correct. Or health care, which is probably healthcare, right?
Well,
So,
the ones that are required, I believe, are supposed to have some clinical and public health knowledge.
well, even the attorney, you see, an attorney with health, expertise in health matters, so everybody has to know. So do you know, or did you find out how do we encourage people to do this?
Oh, I think just directly communicate with them, which I did with the commissioners. And this, like I said, I've been directed my calls to them twice. I have not talked to someone in council, county council, but I will.
And the mayor? How do we, if the mayor has an appointment, how do we, I'm guessing,
You have
The
to
mayor-
recommend them.
I'm guessing the mayor has no idea. Why would we expect the mayor to know he's supposed to make this appointment? So
I don't know who.
yeah, what triggers the process?
that's what I'm asking,
How it was communicated to anybody, what the requirement was. I mean, commission knew because. they
Well, they're-
were involved.
Yeah, they're involved and they were the ones that approved our participation. So their knowledge was sort of like a natural. So, well, and we do have a county council liaison, Trent Deckard and I think Kim.
Mhm.
And I know Trent has been to a couple of those joint meetings with the council and the commissioners. And then Laura and I both were just at a county council meeting, week and a half ago or so. But if that wasn't the subject that we were there to discuss. I'll make a call to council, tomorrow. And, I will call the mayor's office and ask them if there is some,
If they've had their 3 recommendations.
or at least inform them that they are supposed to have these, have.
And that they must be
they have to
Republicans.
be Republicans
Yeah.
with health expertise.
I think he does, he took lots of people, so.
Thank you, Steve.
So the mayor then communicates to the council about that then,
Commissioners.
to the commissioners. Okay.
Yeah.
And they're not getting along so well, so it ought to be interesting.
Well,
Thank you.
and the mayor is not a Republican, and they need to be Republicans. That's something I have to, I do need to remember to mention.
Which is defined by the parties at which you last voted in the,
Like
Primary, yeah.
he last registered as,
not necessarily registered as.
but for the primary.
Right. Okay. Okay, PAC updates. Lori, I assume you're doing that.
Yes. Let's see, job description edits are still slowly being worked through. Myself, Molly, and Kim have been still reviewing the financial manager job description, and we are going to be looking at all of the comment level job descriptions. So our comments, that's our clerical positions that WIS identifies. In our department, we have our vital records, administrative assistant, and then the clinic manager for futures are all classified as comments currently. We will be looking at those and submitting those to WIS for classification reviews. One proposal that I have is based upon probably the unlikeliness of rearranging some of the financial manager duties and kind of placing some of those somewhere else, or being able to obtain a grant manager position or another position to help the financial manager. The proposal is we should consider moving the financial manager position to 40 hours to be able to help allow 5 extra hours of work to keep up with the hefty workload that's required of that position.
Okay. Questions? Lori? So we need to vote to increase the financial manager's position to 40 hours.
Correct.
So I would entertain a motion for that.
So I'm confused. Are we voting to support that position? Because we can't actually approve that financial.
Well, yes, we're voting to support. No, we don't approve that, but we're voting to, all right,
Support the-
support.
I mean, it's,
I understand. I understand what you're saying.
yeah, it's nuanced language and I think it makes a difference because we can't.
Okay,
do
I
that.
move that we support the administrator seeking to make the financial manager position 40 hours.
I second that.
excellent. Well said. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
I
Opposed? All right. STD grant updates, new business.
So we have 2 STD grants supporting our disease interventional specialists for the year of 2023. One grant cycle began in January of 2023. The other began in April of 2023. So there was a delay with those contracts, getting those contracts from the state. We have obtained both of those now, and they have been fully executed and approved by the commissioners. So that's the big update, I would say. So one of the issues were that the state had sent one of the contracts for signature, and that contract had actually expired before a signature was obtained. So the state essentially voided that contract, and it had to go through a new process. The delay in the other contract, I was told from the state, was due to their fiscal year closeout period, which it should not have been getting set to us in June anyways, with the start dates of the grants being January and April. But these were very, very delayed. I've been trying to work with the state to ensure that we don't receive long delays with these grant contracts in the future, because it's really put us in a bind and put us behind. And now we're going to be having to try to backbill for everything. But we have the executed contracts now, and we'll be working on moving forward.
So you know me, I have questions. So you now have a contract for STD that began in January, and they're going to accept back bills going back to January because you haven't been paid.
Correct.
Okay. Have you gotten information that you need? Because as I told you, the STD grant is on a calendar year. They right now historically have been interacting with the grantees to get their budgets in, to get the paperwork started, to get those contracts signed so you can get your money January 1st. Has that happened for 2024?
That has not happened yet, but I have been in communication, and I've recently reached out to the regional administrator that we now have in Indiana to work with us to get these processes moving along so that we don't have this delay again. So,
And related to that question, have you yet received an answer to your question about so they're getting money from CDC on the STD side. The other grant you mentioned that starts in April is their HIV cooperative agreement, but I'm just speaking to the STD grant that's on a calendar year. How will the Health First funding relate to these two federal grants? Will there be a change in what you get for money and then in when it comes?
I have not received concrete clarification on changes to that. I have been told that if we were to move our DIS into the Health First Indiana money, that Health First Indiana money is intended to be used within Monroe County. We would not be required to serve all of the 12, well, the entire district, because that is specific to the grant. The state said that I could reach out to other health departments to see about partnering with other counties and providing those services in exchange for dollars. But they have not given any concrete answer on whether to anticipate the grant funds decreasing.
I want to say that sounds unacceptable. And they should have had a plan by now, and they should have communicated it to grantees by now. I guess I'll leave it at that. I just don't want to have happen again what happened this year. And it sounds like since October is upon us, and you don't know anything about your January 1st, 2024 funding, it sounds like we are in a position where it's going to happen again.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long does it typically, once you get your information, how long does it take for this process, for approval of this process?
Generally it could be a few months.
Yeah.
It's a 2 month.
2
2 months
2
is
months.
quick. 2 months is quick because the state has to tell her what she's gonna get for 2024, the way it used to work.
Okay.
And again, we don't know what their plan is with the Health First money because she hasn't been told that by them. The way it used to work is the state would tell her what her award was for
Right.
2024. They'd ask her for a budget for 2024 by usually August or September.
Yeah.
She would have to create something, send it to them. They would create a contract, send it back to her. She'd get it all signed. That takes a minimum 2 months.
Yeah, and that's consistent with what's happened though with since this new law took place. I mean, we saw the very same thing with our budget, trying to figure it out. Really couldn't do it, didn't know how much money we were getting and whether these positions were going to be approved. They weren't. So, anyway, this has been a year of flux. Of course, last year wasn't, and we didn't get it done. So,
Yes.
no,
And this
your
is
point's
made
well
Slightly
stated.
more complicated because it's not just state funds, it's two federal cooperative agreements that the state gets.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's the 9 counties. So I'm still, that's more of a programmatic thing. If you no longer are required to serve, or the 7 counties, however many darn counties it is, 12?
Yeah, it's 12. It goes from Bartholomew all the way to.
Yeah, kill me now. If you're not required to serve them anymore, that's also an enormous change,
Right.
an enormous.
Actually, I was stunned when I read that we were covering all those counties.
Well, you've always done it. That's been
Yeah,
a
yeah.
decade.
Yeah.
$2,000 for transportation to cover like a big chunk of the state. It was like,
Well,
I guess you never travel.
They didn't need to be physical.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't have to travel.
Okay, well, I guess we would just encourage
Yeah,
Pardon?
I guess we say good luck, Lori.
Yeah, I mean, encourage you to just, get this information as quickly as you can. I mean, I know that's, part of it's a little bit out of your control, but
Well, it's hard to get it if they won't give it
Yeah.
to you.
so,
Do we know how many of those 12 counties, the other 11 counties have signed on for Health First? Are they all signed in? And
Hmm.
on?
I don't know that for sure. I would assume at least some of them have because, almost every single county in the state, but I could find out.
Well, that might be a good place to start because presumably, and correct me if I'm wrong, if they each got the Health First money, they would still be under that 60-40 like we are. So they would still get an award for DIS and for their STD services. So they should be providing those on their own
Or be able to contract with
Or-
Monroe
Yeah.
or
County?
partner with somebody, yeah. So that may be a really good place to start.
good. All right, do you feel like we've given you the clearest mud here? Giving you some good.
Like a round robin email.
All right, do we have anyone else have any comments or questions concerning the STD grant? Yeah, Dave, no, appreciate all the extra information you're providing, Aurora, that's great.
I do have the map for the funding if you want to see it. I can share it if you'd like.
For the Health First funding,
Mhm.
so you know which of those counties signed on?
Yes, the IDOH has on their health funding or the health first
Oh,
thing to put up a
okay.
map of it, so I can share that for you if you'd like.
Sure.
I guess I'm most concerned about Vigo because that's where the bulk of our morbidity is for STD and HIV. That's,
Oh, interesting.
that doesn't come out of Monroe County.
You go here, they did opt in.
They did opt in. Okay,
Yeah, the Grays are the only counties that did not.
oh, who's that?
Only can.
Who's that gray?
The gray ones.
Okay.
Are the only ones.
Johnson County?
Johnson.
Interesting. Okay, so
Most
then
of our
the
counties,
whole STD district
except
is in. Then Lori, I think that's a whole different
kettle of fish.
that's a different kettle of fish. Yeah. Because then,
We can get some funding from them as well.
yeah, they can choose to pitch in and we'll keep, the DIS here and serve those counties, or they can get their own, but then they're gonna have to hire them and train them and that's all. I wouldn't,
That's a legit.
I'd pay you to do it. Yeah, I mean, Kathy and I understand what this involves. I'd pay somebody to do it.
Well,
Good. Oh, that's excellent.
yeah, thanks, Jamie.
Yeah, so.
Good information.
Who's that other grade? Jamie,
So it's fountain.
Fountain, yeah,
Fountain.
Whitley, so the tiny ones. The tiny
Clark
ones.
and. Down at the bottom would be
Johnson
Clark.
County.
Crawford.
Shadow.
At the very bottom is Clark and. Is that-
No, it's not
No, it's
Clark.
Harrison.
Yeah, tiny counties.
So maybe like half a dozen counties in the whole state. Okay.
All right,
Okay, so we got an update on the salary rate increases. Yeah, I went with Lori to council budget work session. And I'm gonna tell you that I want to say this about Lori's command of the facts. I was so impressed by her performance that evening, how she got up there. Basically, she had notes in front of her and didn't look at them. And could talk about all these stats and numbers. And I was blown away. And she knows that that I was. We had an opportunity to present our case for salary increases, and we were told by council, basically, in order for us to get the increases that the state has not mandated, the state has provided money for, they would have to create a whole new salary grid just for the health department. To which I said nothing, but thought at the time, well, if other departments had a large chunk of money dedicated to salary, and much of it was to go for workforce assessment and then salary increases, you would create a new grid, which is exactly, I think, Lori, if I'm not wrong, what some counties have done.
That is correct.
So is the alternative to not accept the money because we don't have a grid?
Oh, no, we don't, we accept the money, but we just have to find something some other way. Well, so what the county is doing is providing cost of living increases for 8.5%. We were seeking what, I think 10? Yeah, 10.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but that's across the board providing those. So, which, brings us close anyway, but it still really isn't exactly what this was intended to do. But I don't know whether we're going to be able to get that changed. I think I didn't have any indication they were going to change that. Did you?
No, I don't think that they have any plans to work with us on creating a separate salary grid for the health department, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So mustn't all of the other counties who have opted in be dealing with the same, maybe not all of them, but certainly there must be some who are dealing with the same issue, and potentially could the Association for Local Boards of Health help at all to explain why we should have a grid for the health department? I mean, I'm trying to think of how to convince them.
Yeah, the other thing I thought about doing was, which may carry no weight at all, was for us to draft some letter saying what other places are doing, and as a board, and suggest that a separate salary increase grid be created for the health department so that the money is used as it was intended. That may carry no weight at all, but at least we've stated our position, and I don't think that's inappropriate or anything,
I think that's a very good suggestion.
How have these other departments obtained salary increases?
For instance, like the sheriff's department, yeah, I don't know how they got that.
New salary grid?
Yeah, well, that would seem to be the case.
Who did that?
Council.
Who creates a
grid? Well, council would have to.
Fiscal piece, but are the policies created or how that operates through commission policy making that then affects what the actual fiscal activities are of council? Can you clarify that for me?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm following exactly what you're saying.
So the policy of the salaries. Oh, sorry. Was Dave going to speak?
Well, I don't know, they did a salary grid with study. And so they want to stay on that, because if they move it up for one, then they have to move it up for everybody in that same category. The sheriff and some of those folks are on contract, or they have negotiated contracts with the union, and so they get treated a little differently.
But they're county employees.
Yes, they are.
Yes, and then we have probation officers who have state mandated salaries.
But they're still county employees.
Correct.
They get county funds, but the procedure is different, especially if it's a unionized group. That gets negotiated differently, just like at the city.
Do we need a union?
Well, could be, but the health department needs their own union.
Oh, we're gonna be so popular.
I know,
Yeah.
I'm not Norma Ray, but
we could have a big walk out.
Well, at the very least, I still would go back to a proposal to send a statement of support to commissioners, council, and whoever else we need to.
I agree, but I wonder if before we write it, we do some kind of searching.
Research.
I think we,
Well, absolutely.
when we get the
Yeah.
research, but yes, I completely agree with you. I think we should. At the very least, then we've gone on the record to say, here's what we recommend.
Right.
and it's knowable what other counties pay.
That's true. Yeah. So probably. Okay, so that would be part of our research.
But I mean, it's public record.
Yes, you can find it, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be part of our
I
research.
mean, I looked at what the health administrator is making in Vanderburgh County, for instance, and so forth. I mean, it's just a lot more.
Yeah.
With fewer employees.
Well, anyway, that was do you have anything additional to add, to the results of our meeting with council?
With the budget,
Well, with the salaries.
Yeah.
no, just the 8.5% for all county employees. I do think the council had discussion recently about some changes to the longevity payments, but Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, no official decisions have been made about that, but that would, the discussion was that could change new employees being hired and coming in. But again, I don't think anything concrete has been determined about that. Longevity payments are, set payments after an employee has been with the county for certain lengths of time.
Any other questions for Lori or?
Well, I'm still kind of curious because I know we have certain mandates through Health First Indiana. And some of it seemed to be positions that we would probably want to fill that don't exist in the present time. And it would seem that, if I'm understanding correctly, we, despite the fact that the Health First money is given to the health department, we still have to go to council to get approval for those positions. Is that correct?
That is correct. And I am trying to work with PAC on getting some new positions. Nothing's been finalized with that, but that is in the works. But yes, that is still something that council would have to approve.
Thank you.
But the new law has provided money for those positions, right? So
And mandated we
And,
have.
Yes,
You
so
think
we
the tough part was done.
Wouldn't you think?
we have the money. I mean, the county is saving about $1 million from the health department in 2024. I assume they're going to save more than $1 million in 2025. I did not budget more than $15 over what the county minimum opt-in amount is. So we are not asking for any additional county dollars with the budget that I created. This is all health department money. It's all health department money that is non-reverting, that can only be used within the health department. If the money is not used within the health department, it will sit there. It will not go back into the general fund. So we are not asking for anything extra.
do you think there's any reluctance, even though I am fully supportive of hiring those people that the law is asking us to hire and provided money for? Do you think there's any a reluctance because there's no guarantee after 2 years that that money will still be there, and those, I mean, maybe that's even irrelevant, but because if we don't have the money, obviously, then the employees in 2 years, then the employees would not be there any longer, but do you think that enters into the argument at all?
It could. The feedback that I continually get from the state is it's going to be really that this is written into the law. So they feel really confident and secure about this. And the focus is on, showing the positive improvements that we make. And to go back would be a very difficult and long process is, the feedback that I'm getting. There could be thoughts and concerns, but I also don't know if there's a real clear understanding from council. No one from council has sat down with me one-on-one to discuss Health First Indiana, to discuss the core services, to discuss, my thoughts and ideas and plans for how we're going to deliver the services. And I think that it would be really beneficial if, someone was on the council was willing to sit down and talk about some of these things with us. They might have a better understanding.
Is it necessary? Do we have to go through Kim? I mean, basically to get, what if we had this discussion with her? Or would that be helpful? The administrator for council.
It could, it could be. And Kim helps with the PAC process. So that could be a helpful option. But again, I think that if the council members are the ones voting and making the decisions, that they probably need to be involved in having a clear understanding for themselves.
Yeah, I'm just thinking in terms of access, they may be less accessible than she is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of a good starting point. I wish we'd started a long time ago, but we are where we are. So
the other part of this, and I'm happy to be corrected, but what I've seen often in the state is that if the money has been appropriated, and if over this period of time we're not using it, and it can't be reverted back, that it will be cut in the future.
Oh yeah, sure.
So what we don't want to see is the fact that we have this wonderful funding to create robust health in this community, and that we're not willing to invest it in the community. That would be a really ugly thing to see.
You are preaching to the choir here.
I know, but
yeah.
It's a public meeting and I need to say it.
Yes, good. Yes.
So we will gather our facts and we will write a letter.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the least that's a good starting point at least. And in the meantime, Lori, maybe among all the other things that you're doing, that maybe we can contact Kim and see who we can access on council. And if we have to start with her, then that's fine.
Sure. Yeah, I'm willing to do that. And, the reason that I brought up the salary grids at the budget session was based upon feedback. I had submitted a council agenda request just for one of their regular sessions where Dr. Britton and I would go present this proposal and discuss it. And on August 22nd, Kim emailed me and said to bring it up during the budget session because it was a fiscal decision. So that's kind of how things played out in that manner with bringing the topic up when we met about a week and a half ago with council. But I will circle back around with her and then just see if there's a way that we could set up a meeting with her and then possibly one of the other council.
Great. Any other comments concerning the salaries? All right. So, Lori, I'm going to ask you to tell me about this next bulletin because I really didn't have anything to do with this. I want to make sure that's clear. Board stipends, but someone ask you to explain what's taken place and what's actually been approved and what we've requested in the future.
Yes, so for 2024, the budget was submitted with $3,000 stipend payment for each board member. We, the financial manager and I were looking at rates that would be comparable to breaking that down to a monthly rate, since, you know, currently the Board of Health is meeting monthly. I knew that the Board of Health, in my opinion, certainly, I think this money is rightful, I guess, for the work and the hours that are put in, and even outside of the meetings. So this was presented with the budget and approved. I think final decisions that the council makes is in October, where they adopt the budget. But as things stand currently, that is where we are.
And that's for 2024 and not 2023.
Correct. That is currently for 2024. To make that adjustment, to have that prorated for 2023, I would need to be working with Kim to submit a separate request to make that go into effect this year. But that's possible.
Sarah, I see a look of consternation. Well, yeah, comments.
So, I sit here because it feels like my way of giving back to this community. It's not so that I can find some chump change. So, I certainly think that the chair and vice chair of this committee put in far more hours than I do as a sitting member personally. This is the only commission or board seat that I sit on where there is any stipend at all. And I sit on 3 or 4 others. So I guess I'm uncomfortable because, one, I have no need to be paid for returning my services to the committee and to the community. But I do know how many hours the chair and vice chair spend meeting with the administrators. I can see they're being far more heavily stipended, is that a good word?
Yes.
Reimbursed, they can have my money because you guys really put in the time and the energy.
He does. He does.
Okay.
He does, not me.
All right, so the chair, certainly, sometimes I assume it will come to the vice chair, but that's where I see the need for any kind of reward or award, not to me as a sitting member of this committee. And that's just my opinion, and I'm happy to hear what other people feel about their stipend.
I totally agree with everything that you just said. I saw this as a volunteer position when I came. The stipend was nice. Stipend has stayed the same for over 20 years. So I think the workload now, well, in the last year.
Last 3 years.
Well, last 3 years. Well, that's true. I'm just thinking since, yes, you're right, the last 3 years of COVID. Yeah, well, that's true. Actually, we were meeting.
So what if another pandemic happens? God forbid.
Yeah.
What if
I am
another
not against,
COVID
let me just
bill?
finish. I am not
Okay,
against the stipend. All right. I think the work that you do is you deserve this small compensation, and it is small. I don't care if I was, if the chair, well, I mean, I'm just temporarily in this position. I may not even be here after December, so. I don't think this is inappropriate and I don't think you're saying it's inappropriate. I think you're just saying, I understand that you're giving back to the community, and I've been on lots of boards, still am, and plus this one. But I'm not against this. I think the compensation that comes to each board member is just a little compensation for the amount of time that you spend, which is probably, I don't know what we'd say, like maybe 4 hours a month or something like that, 3-4 hours, but obviously more for some of us, but I'm not speaking against it or necessarily even for it, but I just think that it's not, certainly I don't see it as inappropriate or anything.
I look at it as an honorarium.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I've always refused a stipend, and I've always told Penny to put it to some good use within the department.
Well, that's the other thing.
That's what I said when I was filling out my paperwork, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Think about it as.
I'd rather not have the paperwork.
You can,
I just
you
want a
could,
place to park.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
you can do with it, well, then,
Donate
do
it
what,
to charity.
exactly which I did to what was called donated dental services, DDS. Clever.
Oh,
Clever.
cool.
Every year, so my stipend went for that, and it could maybe buy a pair of dentures for somebody, so,
Oh,
yeah. So that you could do that, you can do whatever you want with it, but I don't think it's inappropriate, or as Dr. Brittany said, it could be looked at as an honorarium, so. But basically, that's been approved and I forget, they didn't approve the whole 3,000 though, did they?
When the financial manager most recently resubmitted it, when the session that you and I went, that's what it was submitted, at. Mhm.
It was submitted as that.
Correct, yes. So they will vote on that at a later
Yeah,
date.
okay. All right, so it's even subject to reduction or however they see fit to do it. So, okay, well, it's not approved yet, but that's basically an update on what's happening, so.
I spoke with Commissioner Thomas about parking here. And she agreed that seemed perfectly reasonable that we would have security open the gate for from 4:20 or whatever until 4:40 for a period of time, so that for these meetings, whatever 15-minute window where people could
That
park
would be great.
here. And
Which we used to do.
I know, exactly, but
Right.
but it hasn't been happening, so I did speak to her about it. My bicycle doesn't need to go in there, but for people who have cars and who are, have to go feed their meters,
Or need a
I
spot
put a whole
close.
lot of money in my meter now. so-
Or need a spot close. I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Spot close.
I'm not sure what the technical piece of that is, but she did say that it certainly seemed reasonable to her as a commissioner, and that security should really do that for us, is to open the gate. Open the gates. I thought I'd let you know
Thanks
that.
for doing that.
Yeah, thank you. Any other comments on any other subject while we're here?
I have something which isn't so much a comment as a request for help. The League of Women Voters would like to do a podcast on the County Board of Health. And I volunteered to help the lady who runs that do that. This is simply posted on the league website, and it's broadcast over WFHB. It's like a 15-minute synopsis of the things that the board does and future plans. Obviously, things like infectious diseases and community flu and who should get shots and that sort of thing is a seasonal topic that probably should be.
Well, George, you are extremely well informed. I will, after all these years being with you, I would feel every confidence in your ability to do that.
Well, I would love to have anybody else, for instance, our fearless leader, Dr. Clark. Would you care to join me? It's a very informal process. And
If schedule permits.
okay, well, I'll chat with the woman. This would be for the November edition of the podcast.
Mhm.
And it's meant, specifically for local consumption. But talking about the kind of efforts that we've been talking about here today, this is the kind of thing which would help improve the pressure from the public in the way that it really should be done.
It could be real positive for the
Exactly.
public relations perspective.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. Good job. Good find.
And it won't take much effort. Podcasts are just chats.
Yeah, so why don't you two see if you can get together on a
This would
time.
be like pre-recorded for later release.
It's
probably.
pre-recorded and then it'll be on the website.
Mhm.
It's, I think just audio. I don't think it's video, just audio. Real easy. And then WFHB carries it 2 or 3 times and then they move on to better
And then it
things.
goes into archives from WHBS.
It's archived, yeah, right.
Yes, thank you. Do we have any, I don't know if we have anyone from the public here? And no? All right,
Just cats.
good. I would like to just say how much I have appreciated Aurora's help in public health matters. I lean heavily on her
Thank you.
public health expertise. I told her that if she would handle that part of the information and I would handle the political types and try to navigate the administrations. This is proven to be a good partnership, I think. So thank you very much for that. And the rest of you. I mean, it's
Thank you for
great,
your work.
great comments, everybody
You
on
really,
board. I
you
think
do
we
a
have.
lot. You do.
Let's
a
hope,
lot.
I'm just hoping we get a couple other equally able people
Yes.
appointed soon and we'll be complete.
Yes, that would be good.
And if we have nothing else, then,
To adjourn.
yeah, thank you.
That was quick.
Second.
Second.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.